Well, it's very moving. The Pope is saying something that pretty much every reputable psychologist and psychiatrist and biologist knows, which is that, people are born that way, if they're gay or lesbian. It was moved off of church grounds because of protests from what I would call online hate groups. And that's not the first time it's happened. This is one in a series of talks that has been canceled. Ironically, the talk was on Jesus.
Right back with a three-ball performance by Metallica.
Metallica!
This guy seems like he's saying love is more important than the rules. Do you think that's what he's saying?
He is saying that, and that's what Jesus was saying as well. So he is basically sort of embodying and just emulating the teachings of Jesus and kind of reminding us of what's important in the church. And it's not rules, it's a person.
It takes a lot of faith. It does, and I would say that LGBT people have more faith than I think straight people.
People take the Bible often out of context, when they're talking about different teachings from the Bible. And they do that in a way that they do for almost no other group. Because people use the homosexuality texts in that way without any historical context.
You might imagine someone who is against someone marrying someone of a different race or color. If someone said, well, I don't agree with that, you would probably feel more pity for that person. There's probably be some anger, but if someone in an office said to you, well, I hear you're marrying that person from West Africa, and I just cannot bring myself to go to the wedding, you would feel angry and probably insulted. You probably also would feel sorry for that person, like, wow. In this day and age, that person is still racist? Where is that coming from? So, I think pity is probably Jesus, when he meets people who don't understand things, he said his heart was moved with pity. Why is it so terrible to go to a gay wedding? But it is not terrible to go to a Jewish wedding. Most LGBT weddings, gay weddings we can say, are civil weddings because that's just the way it is. And so you're going to a civil affair. How is that? Why is that any worse, in a sense, to go to a Jewish wedding? I have a very hard time with that. So I think that's beautiful. It's a great story. And that they can celebrate with you your love is beautiful. I mean, I would say, not so much what would Jesus do, but what are your parents doing? And how could God not rejoice in that kind of reconciliation and bridge building? How could God not love that? Whatever you think about gay weddings, how could Jesus not take joy in something like you just told me?
Se una persona è gay e cerca il Signore e ha buona volontà, ma chi sono io per giudicarla?
channel is your online resource for the academic study of magic, esotericism, paganism, shamanism, and related currents. I'm extremely honored to have in this video an interview to Marco Pasi, Associate Professor in History of Hermetic Philosophy and Related Currents at the University of Amsterdam. If you've been following me for some time, you will already know that I've been mentioning Marco Pasi and other scholars in his department at the University of Amsterdam quite often. They are basically the heaven for people who are interested in historicism, magic, and these kind of topics. And Marco has studied, among other things, Aleister Crowley, the tradition of Thelema, which would be pronounced in Greek Thelema, and sex magic. Just help me in welcoming the amazing Marco Pasi here on Angela's Symposium.
One of the interesting things about Crowley, it's not unique with Crowley, but again, we have a very significant case there, is his ability to bring together a broad variety of traditions. So clearly he constructs his own system based on ideas that are picked up a little bit everywhere in the history of Western esotericism on the one hand, but also Oriental traditions. So he brings together things coming from the ancient magical papyri, things from early modern or Renaissance magic, such as John Dee's Enochian system of magic, the tarot, astrology, alchemy, and of course also sexual magic. Maybe we are going to come back to this. But then also ideas that are coming from the East. So he's very interested in yoga, he's interested in Tao, he's interested in the I Ching. So basically he brings all these different ingredients together and creates something that is actually completely new, completely original. And there comes Crowley, and he brings everything together. So you have Western stuff, you have Eastern stuff, you have theory, but you also have practice. And then something else that I think is very important, at least rhetorically with Crowley, is the idea that magic should not be something for the elite. It should not be something for the intellectual elite. It should not be something for kind of initiatory elite, but it should be something for everybody. If you read the introduction to Magic in Theory and Practice, which is supposed to be Crowley's own classic on magic, well, it's very clear. As I said, at least from a rhetorical point of view, what Crowley is saying there is that magic should be for everybody. Magic is for all, right? This is what he writes. It is for the housewife. It is for the working class. It's not just for people who have the leisure, or the means to have acquired a certain education. At the end of the day, what is important is that certainly in Crowley, there was a very strong anti-Christian element.